Get ready, because today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty unique.
Oh,
A press release. Yeah, but not just any press release.
okay. I'm intrigued.
This is the first public statement from Bougane Gueye Dany,
Dany, the Senegalese political figure.
the one and only, just 12 days after being released from detention.
Wow. So this is like fresh out the gate, no filter thoughts.
Exactly, straight from the source, and trust me, there's so much to unpack here.
Like what?
Talk of fighting, hints of disappointment, huge emphasis on justice and unity. We've got a lot to cover, so let's dive right in.
Sounds good.
Now, we don't know the specifics of why he was detained,
Right.
but the statement, it's not about placing blame. It's more about his commitment to Senegal, to its people.
I can see that it's almost like a rallying cry.
Yeah, would you say that?
Definitely, but not an aggressive one. You know what I mean?
I see what you're getting at.
Phrases like, my fight, are always linked to the happiness of each of our compatriots.
Okay, so it's not about him or personal vendettas.
No, not at all. This is about something much bigger.
He even says the court case had no winner or loser.
Interesting.
He frames it as upholding individual liberties for everyone.
Which is a nice segue into his point about detention centers.
Oh, you mean improving conditions?
Exactly, and specifically that need to preserve human dignity.
Powerful stuff.
It is. He's taking his experience and advocating for broader change.
And then it takes a turn.
What do you mean?
He shifts gears and says the real fight is for the Senegalese people, for their needs.
Huh. It's like he's saying, okay, my situation is handled, now let's focus on what really matters.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
It suggests his detention, all the attention it drew, is a platform for him.
A platform to address deeper issues facing Senegal.
You got it. And he even mentions the people being fatigued and disappointed. We need to unpack that. What exactly is he referring to?
Absolutely. Definitely not something to gloss over.
Agreed.
And to drive that home, he shares this powerful anecdote about leaving the detention center in the torrid heat of the night and thinking about those suffering in the Bakel floods.
Right, and those still detained.
He even says, often deprived of everything.
He's drawing a parallel between his own experience and the struggles of everyday Senegalese.
It's a way to connect with those who might be feeling disillusioned, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, showing them he understands their struggles, and then there's this incredible outpouring of gratitude.
Oh yeah, that list is pretty amazing.
It's not just a quick thank you either. He mentions political allies, civil society, religious figures, the media, even the security forces.
It really does read like a who's who of Senegalese society.
It's fascinating. It's like he's threading this needle of unity, bringing together all these groups.
Under a common cause.
Exactly. And in a country that may be grappling with divisions, that message of inclusivity can be incredibly powerful.
And right after that, he explicitly states he forgives those who detained him. His reasoning.
Let me guess, the fight for Senegal is more important than holding on to anger.
You know it, he says, it's worth more than a hypothetical freedom.
That's profound. Choosing to rise above the personal and focus on the collective good.
It makes you wonder if this is also a strategic move, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's brilliant politically.
By publicly forgiving, he positions himself as a unifying figure.
Someone who can transcend political divides.
Okay, so we've talked unity, forgiveness, his commitment to the people, but there's another group he singles out.
Who's that?
The media, especially the young reporters.
Ah, interesting. I think he recognizes the power they have in shaping public opinion.
And in holding those in power accountable.
For sure. He even praises their engagement for the safeguard of liberties, acknowledging their role as watchdogs.
Like he's saying, I see you, I appreciate your work, keep fighting for what's right.
Exactly. And let's not forget the shout out to his legal team.
He praises them for what he learned about justice.
Right, saying it's not just about winning a trial.
But about ensuring due process, a fair and impartial judiciary.
And he doesn't stop there. He calls for the strengthening of the judiciary in Senegal as a whole.
So he's calling for systemic change.
It's like he's using this whole experience to advocate for a better future for everyone in Senegal.
This press release, it's not just a statement, it's a declaration of purpose.
Would you say it's a call to action?
Absolutely. And that brings us to a crucial question.
Okay, I'm listening.
What exactly does this better future look like for Dany, and more importantly, for the Senegalese people?
To answer that, we need to dig a little deeper.
Deeper into the specific challenges facing Senegal.
Which he only hints at in this statement.
So we've established this is more than a personal statement. It's a declaration of purpose, a call for unity, a vision for a better Senegal.
I agree.
But what are the specific issues driving this fatigue and disappointment he mentions? What needs to change? Let's explore that further in part 2 of this deep dive.
It really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? What's behind this fatigue and disappointment?
Right, because it's more than personal grievances. I think it points to something deeper, like discontent within Senegalese society.
Yeah, almost like a smoke signal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A sign that something's brewing beneath the surface, and he doesn't spell it out for us, which makes it even more interesting.
So where do we even begin to unpack this?
Well, I think we have to consider the bigger picture, right? Senegal, like many nations, faces a lot of complex issues, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Things like economic inequality, political corruption, social divisions, all of it.
And any of these, or a combination, could be contributing to this sense of disillusionment.
Definitely. I think that's a safe bet.
Okay, so let's put on our detective hats for a second.
I like it.
He does give us some clues, though, right? Like, remember that image? Leaving the detention center in the torrid heat of the night.
Oh, yeah. And immediately thinking about the suffering in the Bakel floods and others still detained.
And he specifically mentions those detainees being often deprived of everything.
It's a powerful reminder of what many people are dealing with, those harsh realities.
It makes me think about those conditions in the detention centers. Maybe that's part of why he called for reform earlier. He saw it firsthand.
That's very possible. He saw the lack of necessities, the impact on dignity.
And by connecting his detention to those impacted by floods, he's broadening the conversation, wouldn't you say?
He's saying this isn't just about him, it's about everyone suffering.
A way to build empathy and solidarity.
Yeah, like, look, we're all in this together. We need to find a way forward. Which brings us back to that list of thank yous.
It's a pretty incredible list. It's not just a quick thank you. He lists all sorts of groups.
It's like a who's who of Senegalese society. Political allies, civil society organizations, religious figures.
Even the security forces and prison administration. That's bold, especially considering he was just detained.
Absolutely, and I think that's what's so fascinating about this press release.
How so?
He's threading this needle of unity, bringing together groups that might seem at odds with each other.
Under this common cause.
Right. In a country that may be dealing with its own divisions, that kind of inclusivity, it's a powerful message.
And right after that, he says, "My heart is liberated from all rancor and all hate. Thus, by the grace of Allah, I forgive."
Wow.
It's a powerful statement, especially coming right after he said the fight for his country is worth more than a hypothetical freedom.
It's like he's saying freedom is pointless if everyone is just consumed by anger and division.
It really does make you think.
It does. Is this forgiveness genuine? Or calculated political strategy?
And if it is genuine, how sustainable is that with all the political tension?
Those are questions only time will answer. But regardless, the impact is undeniable, right?
I think so.
He's setting a tone, one of reconciliation. He's urging people to follow his lead, to prioritize the collective good.
But that's a high bar to set, wouldn't you say?
It is, it is.
Speaking of high bars, let's talk about his shout out to the media.
To those young reporters.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
It's interesting. I think it shows his understanding of how powerful the media is, especially in shaping public discourse.
And in holding those in power accountable.
Exactly. Remember, he even praises their engagement for the safeguard of liberties, acknowledging their role as watchdogs.
He values their work and wants them to keep pushing for a better Senegal.
Precisely. And it's significant he's addressing the younger generation.
It's like passing the torch.
Exactly. The future of our nation is in your hands.
Then he pivots to his legal team.
What does he say?
He doesn't just thank them. He talks about what they taught him, about the true meaning of justice.
He learned a lot from this whole experience.
It's clear that his time with the legal system, both good and bad, really impacted his understanding of justice.
And he's not keeping those lessons to himself. He's using them to advocate for a stronger judiciary in Senegal.
So he's calling for systemic change.
Exactly. He wants institutions that uphold the rule of law, ensure equal justice for all.
It's a vision of Senegal where everyone is treated equally, no matter their political affiliation or social status.
It's a powerful vision, but also a challenging one, especially when you consider the fatigue and disappointment he mentioned.
We're back to that.
What are those underlying issues, that are eroding people's faith?
Okay, so we've explored Danny's call for unity, his emphasis on forgiveness, his vision for a stronger judiciary, and his acknowledgement of the media's role.
It's a lot.
But we still have this question. What are the concrete issues driving this fatigue and disappointment? To answer that, we need to look beyond the press release itself, at the wider context. It's like we've got all these pieces, we're trying to put them together.
Trying to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, using the clues Danny has given us.
We've got this message of unity, this call for a stronger, more just Senegal.
But there's still that big question mark, right?
About the obstacles.
What exactly is standing in the way?
It's like he's inviting us to join him in this fight.
By understanding the challenges.
Exactly. Remember how he keeps saying the real fight is for the people?
And for their needs.
Right. And that phrase, fatigued and disappointed, it really gets to me.
I know. What do you think it means?
It suggests a real disillusionment, a feeling that things just aren't working.
Like the system is failing them.
In a way, yes. It's not just complaints, it's deeper than that.
So what are we thinking? What are the root causes?
Well, we have to think about the economics, right?
Well, poverty, unemployment.
Senegal has made progress, but those are still issues, especially for young people.
And that can definitely lead to frustration, even hopelessness.
Absolutely. And economic hardship can often spill over into other areas.
Social unrest, political instability.
Exactly. We can't ignore that connection.
And then there's corruption, which makes everything worse.
Both real and perceived corruption. It erodes trust and breeds cynicism.
It becomes a vicious cycle. Economic hardship, discontent, instability.
And corruption just pours fuel on the fire.
It's complicated. No wonder people are feeling fatigued.
And we can't forget the global context either.
Climate change, food insecurity.
All of it. It adds another layer of complexity.
It makes you realize just how much Danny is dealing with.
And how smart he is not to offer simple solutions or blame anyone.
Instead, he focuses on what unites people.
Their desire for a better future.
That shared dream is powerful.
And it makes his emphasis on unity and forgiveness that much more crucial.
Because they can't overcome these challenges if they're divided.
He's setting an example, showing them a different way.
It's a challenge to break free from blame and anger.
And to focus on building something better.
He's really putting his faith in the Senegalese people.
Especially those young reporters.
He sees them as key to change.
They hold power accountable, amplify the voices of the people.
It's a reminder that a free press is vital for any democracy.
Especially one facing such complex issues.
And with his call for a stronger judiciary.
He's advocating for institutions that can deliver true justice.
Fairness, accountability, putting people's needs first.
It's a powerful vision.
So where does that leave us?
We've unpacked this press release, analyzed the message.
Explore the challenges.
But the big question remains, what's next for Senegal?
And what role will Danny play?
That's for Senegal to decide.
But at least we have a better understanding of the situation.
Of the nuances, the complexity.
Danny's message is ultimately one of hope.
Even amidst all these challenges.
A belief in unity, in a brighter future.
And a reminder that change is possible.
That's something we can all take away from this deep dive.
Absolutely.
So keep exploring these ideas, stay engaged.
And think about the role we can all play in making the world a more just and equitable place.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time,